Good evening, everybody. Happy Saturday night. Well, it's Saturday night here in China, wherever you guys are at. I hope you're okay. As you can see, my uh, location is different. I am spending the weekend at a place called Zhongshan, which is near. It's in the city of Zhongmen, but that's near the. Whoop. Hold on one second. Sorry. I had this idea. Well, it was given to me by a one of my patrons. He said, when my live stream cuts out, and I can't see the chats anymore, to just have my iPad open or something, and then I can see the chats, and that's true. But here's the deal: I'm at a hotel. I'm at a very nice hotel. It's not the nicest. It's 4 Points by Sheraton. Now, in the past, I have often uh, ragged on Sheraton a lot because in the States, if you're familiar with hotel management companies' work, often Sheraton is not managed by the Sheraton company. It's managed by a secondary management company that is franchised, basically. And those franchise companies are incentivized financially to do the absolute bare minimum to maintain brand standards. It's very common. That's what in hotel management practices, especially in America, where that's why you see a big difference between one property to another, even though they're the same brand. Here in China, though, Sheraton is a very good brand. In fact, all over Asia, it's a very high-end brand. But what I like about this one is that it's a 4-star property, but it doesn't try to sell itself as a 5-star. It says it's a 4-star, and it's priced as a 4-star. I really really like that because I see so often these properties that try to advertise themselves as 5-star when they're nothing more than a 2 or a 3. But it is what it is. Now Sheraton though is also a brand that is got a great bed, so I'm gonna sleep very well tonight. Um, but they're bland, they're boring, they're just 4 walls and a bed. Now they do that very, very well. In fact, the quality is insanely good. And there is a minimalistic cleanliness to the decor, and it's a consistency that you get in all the Sheratons that I've stayed at uh, in Asia. So that I can appreciate. Now I'm here mostly because of the location. I'm near a place called Dayanshan, which is in Jiangmen, northern Jiangmen, right on the border of Shunda and Shinda's right across the river from me. And I went hiking today, so I'll share some photos and some videos about this hotel and the neighborhood that surrounds this hotel, which is only about 2 years old, and it's maybe hundreds of 3-story mansion houses out there with these interconnecting like little wetland lakes, and I'd say maybe 10% of them are occupied. Another 20% are doing renovations of some kind, and all the rest are still vacant. Now, that doesn't mean that they will never be lived in. It just means it's just the way real estate works out here. So, oftentimes they'll build a shell, and they're the exact same house. There's hundreds of them. The exact same 3-story house, just mirror images of one another, duplicated all throughout the community. And then people come in, they add a 4th story, or they add a wing, or they change the color. So there's very few, if any, HOA restrictions with these. So people will customize them before they move in, if they move in at all. So it's an interesting dynamic, and you'll see in a future video what I mean by that. But anyways, cheers everybody! Thank you for joining me today. I have a beer. Oh, that's good. I gotta tell you, it was so hot out on the mountain today. I hiked up to the peak, beautiful pagoda. Enjoyed some of the streams, a couple lakes, and then I ran back down. And when I came back down, I was completely out of water. I had no Gatorade. you know, this hotel has a wonderful swimming pool, but by the time I got there, the swimming pool was closed. so, so I enjoyed a nice shower and a nap. And now I'm doing this with you guys. But checking into this hotel was a challenge. Every city that you go to, you need a new health code, and it takes some extra steps to get through. And for some reason, my health code didn't show up, and they almost denied me entry. And it took some finagling and some negotiation, and finally we got it to work. But it took well over an hour for that health code to work. Uh, and it's very, very common thing amongst foreigners now. As foreigners are starting to travel, these each city has its own health code, and they're not always connected. Connecting with the foreign passports, and it wasn't connecting with mine. So it's a hit or miss. You never know which cities are going to work for you and which ones aren't. Today did not work for me, but they accepted a different one that I had, and they let me in. Yeah, there's lightning in the background, Nicholas. It's thunder and lightning season, rainy season, hot and humid. So at night, thunder and lightning out there. So enjoy the show. All right. Quick update on me. It's official. My students will not be coming back this term. I was shocked to hear that yesterday. I was in a meeting, and they said, and apparently they made this decision a while back, but they neglected to tell me. So my students will not be coming back this term. There will be some students coming back, probably the seniors who are going to be doing some testing, taking their finals and graduating. And that's what I saw, all the construction around they're putting up the tents and getting ready for an intake of students. But my students will not be coming back. And I have 4 more weeks left in my term. So in 4 weeks, I'll be done. Which means, that's the start of my summer. And it's basically I get 3 months. 3 months, as they say. See you in the fall. I cannot leave China. I don't have enough money to travel around. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the summer yet. I think I'm just going to stay in Zhongshan and pinch my pennies. I think that's all I can do, really. How will that affect your salary? Well, here's how it works. During the summer months, there will be no faculty on the campus. Again, I will be all alone on the campus. Now, I won't be locked down like I was this winter. I'll be able to come and go as I please. But nobody will be allowed on the campus to come visit me. So I'm going to be completely alone on the campus for probably about 2 of the 3 months. Because either some attrition, some staff members leave, and then some staff members come back in the fall a little early to get ready for the term, right? So for about 2 months, I'll be all alone, except for the construction workers. Every morning at 7 a.m., they're jackhammering and still demoing all the concrete in about 270-degree circle around my apartment. It makes the house shake. It's deafening, and I'm going to have to live with that for the summer because I know that they're going to go. I know why they start so early, because it gets hot, and I want to get some of the hard work done soon. But I'm going to have to live with that this summer. So as far as another thing about the salaries is 20% pay cut for all teachers. That is upsetting, and that begins next month. Yeah. But we'll make it work. We always make it work. This summer, I just plan on sticking around Zhongshan. I won't be able to travel, so I don't have the money to do that. But I'll have the freedom. So we'll see what I'm doing. I'll probably just make a ton of videos and continue to work, do a lot of writing. And just stay within Guangdong, basically. I mean, there's plenty of things to do and see around here. But as far as traveling internationally, going home back to America, I won't be able to go. I thought about going like Korea or Bali or New Zealand even. Those trips are completely off the table for the summer, and it probably won't be till next spring festival when I get a chance to do more international traveling, or even go home to see my family. So that is a little upsetting. So 4 more weeks of online classes, and then I'm done. We'll see. By the way, all of my lesson plans that I have produced over the last couple of years, I have 1 more week prepared, and then I need to prepare another 3 classes. And it's going to take around it's about 20 hours per class per full lesson plan to produce. These aren't little 1 hour lesson plans. These are fully integrated. You have to write it up. You have to have the PPTs and the videos, and everything has to be produced on its own. It's an awful lot of work. It has to be designed and has to fit into the existing curriculum that everyone else is using, and then it has to be submitted for approval. And whenever you submit it, always has to come back and say, okay, this and that. So it is a process. It's about 20 hours per lesson. So I have 3 more I need to produce over the next 4 weeks. It's going to be work, but I can get it done. And once it's done, I'll have that lesson in the back of my pocket that I'll be able to take out anytime I want. Okay, so let's see. We got a lot of people on already. Great. I was expecting it, Paul. Your students not coming back. I was not. I was expecting them to come back. And again, some of the students on the college will be coming back. And many of my friends who teach in middle schools and high schools, public schools, private schools, they are teaching now. The students are back, and they are back in the classroom teaching. Me at a polytechnic college, I guess the rules are different, and so they're not coming back this term. They'll be back. I don't know how I'm going to test them yet either. I still have to provide grades and evaluations for these students. We haven't figured that out yet. I have 4 weeks to figure it out. I'm going to have to figure it out soon, though. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, we will put our heads together and we'll figure it out. Again, if you're a teacher out there over the last few months, there's been a lot of we need to figure this out or we will figure it out kind of talk going on. Okay. I bet you wish you raised your salary now. I just thought it would be inappropriate to raise my salary. I don't want to take advantage of this situation. I think it would have been forgive me for saying, kind of a dick move to say, hey, you need me, so pay me more. I think just asking for my original salary was just fine. So, what app are you using to teach classes? It's a proprietary app for the college, goes through their portal. It's not Ding Talk or Zoom or any of those. It's some proprietary one. 2 year here for tests due to the virus in the UK. I don't know. 2 years for what? 2 years for what, Nicholas? Don't feel bad for me, Nicholas. Everything's going to be fine. It is what it is. I still have a job. I have a guaranteed job for next year. And I have, food on the table and a roof over my house. Excuse me, a roof over my head. I'll do just fine. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Hold on one second. Oh, that beer tastes. I don't drink very much anymore, guys, especially beer. But that beer tastes good after that long hike run thing that I did today. I feel so dehydrated. Okay, so some shameless students not to be tested. Interesting. Now, all students and all staff here in China have to be tested. So all the nurses and doctors on the campus are getting ready. They've got stations set up and everything's ready to go. And over the next 2 weeks, they're supposed to start trickling back. They were supposed to be back this last week. They didn't come back. So apparently they're jumbling up. So it depends on their major, I guess. Some majors are coming back before others. And it's very strange. Xiaolan. Morning, Paul. You were in a good place. I am stuck here in the States for the past 3 months. Well, I was not in a good place at the beginning of the year. It was I was stuck here. And things still here, you know, we'll show you in the news when I get to the news. Things here are still uh, on high alert. I mean, they still have new cases every day, especially in northern China where they're locking down cities again. Some cities are opening up again. They're on top of it, but they're being a lot more. They're being a lot smarter about it. They're just being more surgical, it seems. But lots of things going on. I mean, China's a very big country, and it's hard to just say, "Oh, in China, this happens." It doesn't really work like that. You really have to break it down by province, just like you do states in. Oh wow, thunder and lightning! I love it. We don't have thunder and lightning in Southern California, so this is pretty cool. I dig it. Yeah, it's that time. It's like every day you'll get showers in the afternoon, showers in the early evening, thunder and lightning. It's just that time of year, and it's very very hot. Ooh, you can even hear it. Cool. I dig it. I drink cider. Can't drink beer anymore. Doesn't sit well with full. I like cider. It's just too sweet. It's too much sugar. It's like drinking candy. It's like a dessert for me. It's killing me here watching the crappy media and the inept federal government lies. I won't go into that, but I do agree with you. Yeah, it was reported in the news. UK has canceled not just school exams, public exams as well. Yeah, they've canceled a lot of the exams here too, except for the Gaokao and the Zhongkao. Those still plan on going forward in mid-July. So that's why some of the students, many of the middle school students and the high school students that are graduating and getting ready to take these exams, they're back. They've been back. They're working hard in the classrooms right now. Okay, shameless self-promotion. Don't forget, check out my blog. I've been really focusing a lot on hotel reviews. I'm going to continue to focus on that a lot over the next few weeks. I've got a system down. The reason why is I've got a partnership with Trip.com that I'm working on right now. It's another reason why I'm staying in this beautiful hotel this week. And hopefully that deal will come through. But you can see the Rojo rating system is something that I think people are really catching on to. They really like it. So check it out. You can buy me a coffee if you want. You know, I don't drink Starbucks very much anymore, but I do drink Pacific Coffee, which is my coffee of choice. When I sit down to edit my videos, I'm usually doing it at Pacific Coffee. That's my little coffee shop. It's just quieter and peaceful in there. So if you want to buy me a coffee, you can click on that link. If you want to support me on Patreon, please do. That'd be wonderful. If you want to support me through my Amazon affiliate links, they're down there as well. If you're curious about a VPN, I have an affiliate link for the VPN that I've used for the last 4 years, and I'm still using. Again, when the live stream drops, it's mostly because I'm in my apartment at the college and the Wi-Fi there, or the internet connection, is not steady. Every time I come to a hotel like this, the connection is very, very steady and fast. And so I hope you're going to see that here as well. So all that aside, support me in any way you can, please, guys. It's going to be a long summer for me. All right. Any other questions before I get to the news? All right, let's get to the news. Got a lot to cover today. All right. Forgive me, I don't have my usual two-screen setup. I've got this, and I've got like a a to-go version of my live stream setup here. Sorry about that. Where's my? There it is. Okay. You might have missed the question I asked earlier. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Do you mind going back and answering it? It's too off topic for your stream. Zach, let's take a look. Which one was it? I must have missed it. Let's see. What app do you use teaching classes? I use a proprietary app. Oh, here it is. Heard anything about Jiling and what's going on here right now? Zach, are you in Jiling? Yes, I have something here about that. Jiling under partial lockdown. Some expats to return. I've been hearing that some expats, I think Zach, maybe, was it you that told me about it last time? That some expats are being allowed to come back. I know certain ethnicities or certain passports are allowed to come back. So, such as South Koreans, they're trying to open up the doors for South Koreans to come back. But anyways, here, Jilin under partial lockdown. Here's all the numbers. Where is it here? Video quality and sound are much better. That's because the connection is much better because I'm in a hotel and I'm not in my apartment. My apartment sucks. Chinese city of Jilin under partial lockdown. Jilin, with a population of more than 4 million, so it's even bigger than Zhongshan, suspended bus services and said it will only allow residents to leave the city if they have tested negative for COVID-19 in the past 48 hours and complete strict self-isolation. I guess that's kind of, every time I see strict self-isolation, it seems so subjective to me. A cluster of infections was reported in the suburb of Xiaolan over the weekend, with Jilin's vice mayor warning Wednesday that the situation was extremely severe and complicated, as it always is, and there's a major risk of further spread. The city reported 6 new cases as of yesterday and 1 case today, all linked to the Xiaolan cluster, bringing the total number of cases linked to the local laundry worker to 22. According to the city's official announcement via WeChat, 11 measures were taken to curb the spread of the virus, including suspension of all intercity trains and tourist buses and monitoring all close contacts of overseas returnees from high-risk regions starting on Wednesday. The city stipulated that pharmacies are not allowed to sell and I don't know that word. Antipyretic? Help me out with that one, guys. I'm not a doctor. Antiviral antibiotic drugs. Clinics are forbidden to accept patients with a fever and must direct them to designated hospitals. That's still going on, by the way. If you get a fever and you get checked anywhere, even in a low-risk area, you're not going to be allowed in, and you will be immediately directed to go get tested. You're going to actually have to go to the hospital or go to a clinic. That's one of my biggest fears, actually, is if I get a little sniffle, if I get even an ounce of the flu, and my temperature is checked 10 times a day as I go about my day. If one of them picks it up, then I'm screwed. I'm going to have to drop everything and go isolate myself in a hospital somewhere while they test me. That's typical. That's happening in every city, and it's fine. I understand why. Those who violate the regulations will be shut down. All indoor entertainment venues that create opportunities for mass gatherings will be closed, such as cinemas, stadiums, and internet cafes. Restaurants can remain open, but no more than 3 to 5 people can sit at one table, and customers must be kept at least 1 meter apart. The city announced it would suspend all schools that had already resumed classes as of Wednesday. So the schools had resumed, now they're shut down again. Students will have to stay at home and take lessons online again. That's so sad. The source of infection of the city has not yet been disclosed. Jilin city officials said on Wednesday that another national expert team will arrive to the city to investigate infection sources. Also, a couple of them in the surrounding areas. This is all in northern China. But here says Beijing schools and universities will reopen in June. And most schools will continue to stay open until August 1st. So that's what's going on in Jilin. Did I get that right, Zach? In the morning, we're had to only 5U, HU. Guess it went up a little by this evening. Yeah, it's going to continue to rise, too. They're going to shut it down, and, they're going to watch it. The airlines are decimated. Current load rate is only 15 to 20%. Needs to be 75% to break even. It's going to be expensive to fly for the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah, you're right, Shar. That's my fear too sometimes. If I catch a little cold, I might get a fever. People will take me away, and probably because I'm scapegoat because I'm a foreigner. That is something to be careful of. I mean, we stand out. As foreigners, we stand out in this country. We can't blend in. So there's opportunities that come with that, but there's also a lot of discrimination that comes with that. It's something that we live with every day. here. Looks America has decided to live with the virus. The whole world needs to decide to live with this virus and every other virus. I've been saying this since the very beginning, that this is part of life. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be shut down in my home for 2 years of my life. I want to live my life. Let me decide to take my chances. All right. I won't get on my soapbox for that one today. No wonder I can't read. I don't have my glasses on. All countries have decided to live with the virus differences. USA admits it. Some people in the USA admit it. Not everyone. America is very divided. And that's part of the problem. It really is America is so divided. It really shows a lack of proper leadership. Okay, let's go to the next one. What was I going to say? What was one more thing I was going to say? Oh, to give you an idea. So, in my city, in the downtown area, of course, everyone still wears a mask and everything's kind of uneasy. The movie theaters still haven't opened. The gyms are by appointment only, and you have to wear a mask when you're exercising. All the parks, you have to wear a mask everywhere you go, basically. Even though you're not required to by law, the local security guards and the local residents kind of insist that you do, so you do. It's just part of the local culture here. This week I went to a wedding in Xiaolan, which is my old town. If you watch my videos from the very beginning, my very first town I lived in was a town called Xiaolan in the north part of Zhongshan. It's actually not far from here. And I was an English teacher there, and one of my old colleagues got married. She actually got married a few months ago, but they finally had like the party. And it was going to be a very interesting thing to see because it was the first time we could see a lot of people together without the social distancing thing. And I was very curious how they were going to do it. And it was at this very nice Cantonese restaurant. Walked in, nobody took my temperature, nobody asked me to sign anything. As soon as I came in, everyone had their mask off. It was very strange. We all sat around tables. It was great to see all my old friends and all my old colleagues again. It was wonderful. We toasted. We had a grand time, a wonderful dinner, a wonderful, beautiful wedding. No social distancing whatsoever being done. And then afterwards, we went out. A couple of us went out and enjoyed some of the nightlife, which is new in Xiaolan. When I was living there was no nightlife. But now there is quite a bit and good nightlife there, too. So I wanted to check it out. So we went out, and in the area, the restaurant, bar, scene kind of area that we were in, nobody was wearing a mask. Nobody was social distancing. The bar wasn't packed with people because it was a Wednesday night, but it was like normal. And it was and this is still the city of Zhongshan. It's just a town within Zhongshan. And it was like night and day. Because later that night, I went back to downtown Zhongshan, and it was still on high alert there. So even within the same city, different places kind of are following their own little rules, it seems. Matthew says, teaching at a private U.S. or U.K. high school with Western management is the place to be if you're teaching in China. Universities or language centers, they just try to squeeze every penny out of you. People have different experiences. You have to understand that language centers are a for-profit business endeavor, and if you understand that and go into it with that understanding, then you're going to understand why they treat you a certain way and why they work you so much and why they pay you more because of it. So it's a business that you're in, and you're providing a product, whereas public schools, universities are not for-profit, typically, not always, but they have a different mindset. So you really, it's your thinking and how you go into these places that determines your experiences there. America has too much of an internal bickering. Yeah. Paul, as a fellow vlogger in China, do you mind if I send you an email and talk some things privately? No disrespect to anyone here, but there are some things that I would rather discuss privately. Zach, go right ahead, man. Send me an email. Happy to talk to you. Leadership. You should watch the Simpsons episode with Trump elected country and the country then when broke. That was I think Lisa Simpson was elected president after the Trump administration, and found out that everything was messed up. If I'm not mistaken. I studied leadership. My master's degree is in leadership theory. I understand psychology about leadership and motivation theory, and I gotta say, um, I gotta say, uh, leadership is lacking in America. And when you see things like this, the true leaders come out, and you can see it plainly which ones are the real leaders and which ones are just like the TV leaders. Um, have you ever snacked on some of those fried crispy wasps? No, and I don't want to. I've seen them. I've seen those wasps here, and they scare the crap out of me. I run away screaming like a little girl when I see those wasps. It is truly something that I'm afraid of. All right. You're talking about the murder hornets, I think they're called. Yeah. Wuhan is set to conduct a 10-day testing for all residents. God, 11 million tests in 10 days. Let's see America accomplish something like that. Yeah, they're going to do that. I think it's a good thing. Just test everybody. Get it done. I don't want to talk about that. Here's an interesting development. Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau more relaxing travel restrictions. So if you don't know, where I live in the Pearl River Delta in Guangdong, you have Macau and Hong Kong, which are technically part of China, but they're special administrative regions. Macau being a former Portuguese colony, and Hong Kong, of course, being a former British colony. And there's still borders up. And so you still need to technically cross a border to get into these places. And you still technically need a visa to go back and forth between these two. These borders have been closed, essentially. I mean, you can still go to Hong Kong, but as soon as you get there, you're right into a 14-day quarantine. Same thing with Macau. And when you come back into Guangdong, you're 14-day quarantine. So if you have to go to Hong Kong and then come back, you're going to be stuck in a hotel at your own expense for at least a month. So essentially, the borders are closed. But they are trying to relax these restrictions and allow certain people to come back and forth, because a lot of people do work across these borders. A lot of people in Shenzhen and Hong Kong do business across that border. A lot of people in Zhuhai on the Macau border actually work in Macau and cross that border every day. So they're going to start relaxing these restrictions for certain individuals. For foreigners, that does not include me. I will not be allowed to cross that border. If I do, I will have to be in quarantine there, and then I won't be allowed to come back. So essentially, these borders are still closed for me. See, Zhongshan is kind of place people don't remember until you say Zhongshan University. Just could not think of what. Here's the thing. You're talking about Sun Yat-sen University, right? Very popular university. There is no Sun Yat-sen University, Sun Zhongshan University in the city of Zhongshan. There's Sun Yat-sen University. There's like 5-6 different campuses here in Guangdong, the main ones being in Guangzhou. And then there's one in Zhuhai on the other side of the border from Sanxiang. But there is no Sun Yat-sen University in the city of Zhongshan. So that's something a lot of people don't understand, but it is true. Do private tutoring in China. It's good money. It's true if you have private clients. You really have to be careful. You cannot technically run a school, but you can go someplace, coffee shop, and help someone out with their English, and then you accept a red packet or some other exchange of services or something like that. They don't want too much of this going on because a lot of people will hide your income tax when it comes to this. But here's the thing. Demand for private tutoring is not there. I haven't seen it in many of my friends who were doing private tutoring. It's just been decimated. It might come back. We'll see. Don't know yet. Wuhan mass tests have been planned for a while. It retrained those sample collectors before this is to increase the accuracy, so it wasn't a sudden move. Interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, next thing. Over 7,500 people quarantined as domestic cases increase. This was, I think, more about, Jilin. We already talked about that one. Let's talk about something else other than the virus and all that crap. Tim Hortons partners with Tencent for huge Chinese expansion. I have a confession to make. I have never been to Tim Hortons. I've been to Canada, I've just never been to Tim Hortons. But we're going to get it. Get hyped. Canadians Tim Hortons is planning a Chinese expansion with the help of tech giant Tencent. On Tuesday, the coffee and donut chain announced via its official Weibo page that it will use undisclosed funds from Tencent to upgrade its sales platforms both online and offline. For instance, they will look to improve their WeChat mini program, a popular and effective point of sale in the Chinese market, as well as open more brick-and-mortar stores. By North American standards, coffee consumption in China still lags, as most consumers are avid tea drinkers. Tim Hortons, however, sees this as a big growth opportunity. TechCrunch noted that Starbucks has already partnered with Tencent's rival Alibaba, making Tencent an obvious ally. So yeah, Alibaba, Tencent, they kind of are the Coca-Cola and PepsiCo of China. They're two giants in the tech industry. Apple and Microsoft, So if you don't go with one, you tend to go with the other. That's why every store you go to, they'll have two QR codes, one for Alipay, one for WeChat Pay. Typically, I've noticed that here in Guangdong, most people use WeChat Pay, whereas in the north, most people use Alipay. I could be wrong about that. I use both. It depends. I have some things hooked up with one, some things hooked up with another. But as you guys know, I did a video about coffee culture here in China and how it's exploding. Yes, we had that whole thing with Luckin Coffee. By the way, the CEO and the CEO have been fired. I'm assuming more and more people will be fired from this. They're still investigating that whole situation. But Luckin Coffee is still operating. People are still drinking Luckin Coffee here. I did notice that some of them were closed. I don't know if that's because of this or because it's just not good business in that particular area. But coffee is huge. I mean, I'm just driving around this neighborhood here. There's tons of coffee shops. And it's usually the younger crowd. I never see old people in a coffee shop. They're all drinking tea. Now, milk teas, the Taiwanese milk teas and things like that are very popular with the younger crowd. They're sweet. But I'm starting to see a lot more as, a little bit late 20s, early 30s, people my age in the coffee shops. It's definitely growing in popularity. I see it all over my WeChat moments too. People trying out new coffees, new types of coffees. They're becoming coffee experts. So coffee is, again, is exploding in China. And even though that thing happened with Luckin Coffee, that doesn't mean anything. It's still a massive growth opportunity here. Yes, Zach says biggest problem with private tutoring is that it's very unreliable. It is. I've tried it myself a few times and not gotten paid, or they do it for 2 or 3 weeks and then they decide not to do it anymore. So it's not a career choice. Guangzhou actually has a Carl's Jr. No way. Guangzhou has a Carl's Jr.? I don't believe you. Hold on. Let's look it up. Tell me where, because I love Carl's Jr. If you don't know, is the star hamburger joint from America. There's Hardee's, and Hardee's is a lot in the Midwest and the East Coast, and the West Coast it's Carl's Jr. It's basically the same thing. Carl's Jr. Guangzhou. Is there one? Got to tell me where this, because I love Carl's Jr. Oh, the $6 burger. Are you kidding me? International locations. Let's find it. China. It says it has 18 locations in China? What? Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm so stoked. Where? Show me where. Carl's Jr. Search. Oh, it says enter an address. Oh, Guangzhou. Let's search. Okay. Okay. So we got a Carl's Jr. in Ningbo, Shanghai. I don't see one. They look all to be up here in Shanghai area. Still, I'm stoked that there's a Carl's Jr. here. I had no idea. So I'm looking for one down here. We're getting Popeye's chickens in Shanghai. That'll be cool. But Taco Bell opening soon in Shenzhen. That's exciting. But yeah, look at this. Carl's Jr. is in China, but it's in Shanghai mostly. It's in the north or the mid area right around here. But it looks like there's one in Ningbo too. So I got to tell Matt from from Jio Nation. Tell Matt to go to Carl's Jr. in Ningbo. Zach says parents cancel last minute and change schedules all the time. That's in with regards to the teaching on private teaching. That's true. That's why I don't teach children. I don't want to teach children. I love teaching adults. I love working with working professionals, and that's the majority of my students. Obviously, not at the college. Well, you can call the college students adults. Technically, they are. You are actually right about Alipay WeChat. My wife and about 90% of my friends are Alipayers. I prefer WeChat. It's more convenient for me, and I can use the Face Pay in Alipay. So another negative. Oh, you can't use the Face. You can't use the Face Pay. I don't use the Face Pay for either one of them. I just still use the QR codes. From what I read, nucleic acid tests heavily depend on quality of samples collected from throats and noses. I don't know, dude. I makes sense to me. Near the U.S. Embassy. You mean the consulate in Guangzhou and Zhejiang Newtown? I was just there. I was just in that area last weekend. I didn't see a Carl's Jr. I'm going to look for that, dude. Thanks so much for the tip. I know there's a lot of American brands there, a lot of international foods around that area, around the American consulate there. My favorite Mexican food in Guangzhou is their banditos. I ate there last time I was at the embassy. Taco isn't real. I know Taco Bell isn't real Mexican food. I'm very aware of that. I'm from LA, dude. I'm half Mexican. All right, believe it or not, have Spanish blood in me. So I'm very aware that Taco Bell is not real Mexican food, but it has a special place in American culture, and if the Taco Bell is going to be there, I'm going to destroy it. I'll have to drink a few beers first and then plan an evening on the toilet, but it'll be worth it. There is Anytime Fitness in Shenzhen, and your American membership card works too. No kidding. Interesting. Already messaged Matt. Very cool. Thanks, brother. Yeah, my daughter hates online classes. Everyone hates online classes. Nobody likes it. The teachers don't like it. The parents don't like it. The students don't like it. Everyone's waiting to go back to school. Can't wait for the brawls over a chicken sandwich Chinese style at Popeyes. That's a good point, Corey. We don't know if it's going to be the dark meat or it's going to be the white chicken breast meat. KFC here is not the same as KFC it is in the West. I miss good chicken breast meat. That's what Americans eat, but Chinese like the dark meat. Which is fine. It's just preference. But I'm really much looking forward to the biscuits at Popeyes. There is a Popeyes in Hong Kong Airport, and I have eaten there many times. And that does have the crispy fried white meat chicken. All right. Cool information. Okay, next. China reports slightly higher unemployment rate. I saw this report and I kind of laughed at it. I didn't know if it was to be taken seriously or not. But when I read about it, when I read part of this, I thought, it kind of makes sense. When I look around here in Guangdong, I haven't left Guangdong, so I don't know what the rest of the country is like. But Guangdong being one of the major economic centers of the country. China's job market remained generally stable in April, with a surveyed unemployment rate in urban areas standing at 6%. 0.1 percentage points higher than in March. A total of 3.54 million new urban jobs were created in the first 4 months of 2020, a reduction of 1 million compared to the same period last year. The survey unemployed rate among people aged between 25 and 59, the majority of the labor market, stood at 5.5% in April. So here's what's happening. The manufacturing has gotten hit really hard. What I've been seeing and hearing is that certain products, especially finished products, non-durable finished products that are produced in the country, have been decimated. There's no new orders. And those factories are, if they have the capital, are still employing their employees and they're still coming to work, but they're just watching Douyin all day long. They're not actually producing anything because there are no new orders. If you have a factory that is a component factory that then provides those components down the supply chain and ships it off to Japan or Korea or even to another province here in China or an ASEAN country, then you're doing okay. You have enough back orders that you established before the Spring Festival, and that's what you're fulfilling now. Still, new orders are slow to trickle down from the supply chain. That will all start to change now. I think you're going to start to see more and more orders come in as America's opening up and as Europe's opening up. These orders are going to start, but it's going to take a long time for those orders to come down the supply chain into these component factories. But those component factories are surviving now because they have existing orders that they have been fulfilling. Again, non-durable finished products, those are the ones that have been decimated. Durable product orders typically have very large orders, sometimes multiple year orders. Those are doing just fine as they continue to support. Also, pharmaceuticals have been doing okay. The hospitality industry here in China has been ramping back up again. If the people lost their job in a certain industry or a certain factory, there are other industries and other factories that are hiring. And so a lot of people are moving around. It's a very unstable job market, but the cards are falling into place and people are starting new careers and starting with new companies. And so that's what I see happening here in China. And I believe that is what is going to happen 2-3 months down the road in America. With all the job losses that we had over the last few months, which has been horrible, and it's going to take a long time for those cards to fall and everyone to find their place again. But many factories are not going to open, many businesses are not going to reopen, but new factories, new businesses will start to open, and then they'll start to grow, and you're going to see a lot of people starting second careers, or HR is going to be very busy in the world over the next year or so. I'll put it that way. What's Nando? Sam and what is Eddie says? Any Nando? I don't know what that is. I do like Burger King too. KFC, it's not my favorite. It was not my favorite back in America either. Has anyone seen or heard any news about when foreigners will be allowed to enter China? No. There's talk about it. Someone mentioned that some foreigners are getting visas. Some quote-unquote important business people are getting visas to come back. But still, and as you saw earlier, we talked about Hong Kong and Macau loosening their borders a little bit. But still no word on when foreigners are going to be allowed back. I don't think that they're going to be allowed back anytime soon. As this thing continues to go crazy in other countries and China's really worried about that, they're not going to open the borders back up. That's just the way it is. Now, they might, towards the summer, towards the end of the summer, I believe they'll start putting more restrictions on people who can come back to the country. You'll be able to come back, but you have to jump through more hoops. There'll be testing involved. There'll be isolation and quarantines involved. The chance of you getting a visa, it's going to just be much, much harder for you to get a visa to come back. That's just the way it is, and I don't anticipate it changing anytime soon. The closest I got good chain restaurants was Papa John's, and I don't like Papa John's, brother. Sorry. I think the fever of manufacturing masks is almost over. Chinese authorities are very tight on issuing licenses, so a lot of those masks exported could not be labeled as medical use. Profits are very thin. That is true. I have friends of mine who have left international sales at these factories and then gone to sell PPEs and masks and everything, and the margins are extremely thin. Nobody's really making any money with these masks. I know a lot of other YouTubers out there like to talk about this stuff. The production is up. The consumption is up throughout the world. They had to ramp up the production to take care of the own demand here in China. Now it's in the rest of the world. But there's a lot of small little I've seen them actually. These small little garage shops making masks that I know don't have a license. But there were tons of orders made, and then the country put all these licenses and restrictions on them, so many of them were denied, and then it just became part of the local consumption. For them to be exported is much, much harder to do. And nobody's making money on it, by the way. Nobody's getting rich on making masks. Let me tell you that. Once times start in China, do you think the West and China will be further apart? I don't mean to get political, but clearly the relationship will change. I don't know. I think the rhetoric, we all know where the rhetoric's coming from. It's coming from my country, and it's also coming from the Chinese news media. But I can tell you that on the ground, amongst the people, that rhetoric is not shared. I mean, people are very friendly, and there's a sense of brotherhood here that we're all in this together. Even though I'm not Chinese, the Chinese are all come together, but even though I'm not Chinese, they know what's going on in my country. They know what's going on in the world, and there's still a sense of brotherhood and solidarity amongst the people around. So when someone gets up on a podium and has a big microphone, they're going to spout rhetoric and give some fresh meat to their supporters, but it's all noise. Everything is just noise. I think the people, the business people, the families, the everyday Joe Schmo understands that the world is more nuanced. And I'm tired of the hyperbolic media. I'm tired of hyperbolic politicians all throughout the world, because that is not what reality is. I mean, I get really tired of watching and saying, that's not true. That's not happening. That's not the way it is. That's how I feel. And I'm waiting for the election in America, and if we get a different administration, then we'll probably get a different set of policies and different rhetoric, and we can move forward. I think there's an awful lot of anger involved, an awful lot of finger pointing. Nobody's taking responsibility for anything. Remember, I studied leadership. The number one rule of leadership, the number 2 rule of leadership is to practice good followership. You have to be a good follower in order to be a good leader. You have to understand EQ and motivation theory. But the number 1 rule is everything is your fault. If you're a leader, regardless of who did what, whatever, if you're in charge, if you're the leader, it's your fault. And I don't see any leaders actually stepping up and saying, yeah, the buck stops with me. It's my fault. That's the number 1 rule of leadership, and I don't see it from anywhere. So that's why I say that's a complete lack of true leadership. In general, there are some out there that are doing pretty good, I think. All right, Zach, take care, buddy. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a long live stream tonight. Um, one of my relatives invested on this rush. I think he got burned. Yeah, everyone and their mother went into it. What's the content that you normally teach in your English lessons, and what's the most effective ways of teaching them to Chinese students? That's a very involving question. Send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you about that. Topics are everything. Topics are life. Language is involved in everyday life, travel, business, relationships, you name it, popular culture. So those are the topics, but typically they're the four methods of language, right? Speaking, listening, writing, and reading, right? So we teach those. We also teach vocabulary. You pick a couple things, okay? You can do a vocabulary lesson, do a grammar lesson. You do a reading lesson, you do a listening lesson. So it depends on what, you choose, what the students need. So if you have students that are needing more listening practice, then you do a listening skills, and you might do a vocabulary gap fill. There's all different kinds of things. It's way too involved to answer your question. I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer it in full right now. But there are books and studies, and I wish there was one answer I could give you, but there isn't. It's just way too much. Unemployment rate in Hawaii is through the roof. I feel for Hawaii. Yeah, I have family in Hawaii. Enjoying the show. Don't leave. I'm not going to leave yet, Nicholas. Still got a lot of news. I'm out of beer, though. That's all right. I'll stick to water. It's too late to drink beer anyways. All right. Let's move on to the next. Great questions today, guys. Thank you so much. The Human Bridge reopens to traffic 9 a.m. this morning. I couldn't find the video, and if you look at the comment section from my last stream, someone actually posted the YouTube. Excuse me. It's the beer. Someone actually posted the YouTube video of the bridge moving. It's fascinating. It's reopened. It's just one up. Here it is. Oh, that's just the reopening of the bridge. Yeah, it was closed for a long time. This is the main link between the West and the East Pearl River Delta. Any of your family members, extended included, actually think China is to blame for the pandemic? I'm not going to talk about it. A lot of people want to blame China. I'm not one to blame China. I don't blame anybody. It's nature, guys. I've said that from the very beginning. It's nature. If you want to blame China for the pandemic, look at your own country and see how they're responding. And that includes my country, by the way. Can they control it any better than China controlled it? It's nature, guys. I mean, the idea that an entire country is to blame for all of this happening is ridiculous. It's a false argument. Makes no sense to me at all. Cheers to your response to my previous question. Back to teaching. Many schools now won't hire unless you're in China, but they can't fill places, especially for subject teaching. Yeah, it's if you're talking about the labor market for English teachers here, it all depends on the demand. Nobody really knows what the demand side of the scale is. The supply of English teachers has been dwindled very, very far, and people are still recruiting, trying to get people to come, but they're waiting for them to relax the visa restrictions. When that's going to happen, nobody knows. And the training centers and the schools don't know. So they're just maintaining contacts and saying, hey, here and there, and they're trying to hold on to And they know that the foreigners that are here now aren't leaving. So, but nobody's teaching right now. Most people are just teaching online. Nobody's actually teaching in a class except for just recently. But this summer, nobody knows what's going to happen with the training centers, with the summer camps. Nobody knows. And I throw up my hands because I don't know either. All right. More overseas airlines to resume international flights to China. This is kind of good news. United's one of them right here. Yeah. United wants to make a strong return to China in June, and it has penciled in quote, to relaunch passenger service with 4 flights to 3 cities, Beijing, Chengdu, and Shenzhen. 4 flights. That's it. We will also pencil in 4 China routes in the June schedule. We continue to work out the feasibility of restarting passenger services to China. Right now, from Guangdong to Los Angeles, there's only 1 flight per week, and it's only allowed at 75% occupancy, and the prices are astronomical, and of course, they're only one way. So to restart this, I don't know. Air France, I think Air Canada is one of them. 2, Qatar. Yeah, Air Canada is going to start again from Toronto, Montreal. 1 flight per day starting June 24th. Again, penciled in. Turkish Airlines, British Airways. Plans largest increase, operating 45% of capacity between July and September and the third quarter. Plan to resume flights between London, Heathrow, and Beijing on June 20th. London, Heathrow, and Shanghai, Pudong in June. So flights are... But remember, foreign nationals are not allowed on these flights. You know, these are for Chinese nationals mostly only. I mean, there are some foreign nationals that are being allowed to come in, but they have special visas to come in. Joe Schmo, you and me, English teacher, we're not getting those visas. All right. China to set up fast track for foreign business personnel. Here we go. But this is only for Koreans, if I'm mistaken. German. This is for Germany. Global companies operating in China could report any difficulties in Ministry of Local Commerce authorities if their foreign employees find it hard to enter the country. Due to the rapid spread of COVID-19 across the world, China on March 28th temporarily halted entry of most foreign nationals. Chinese government has discussed with the German Chamber of Commerce and also the German Embassy to fast-track procedure to get employees of German companies back to China. So this is Germany. I think South Korea was also one of those countries that they're working with. So all passengers should take the COVID-19 tests in Germany before they board. We will also take security measures on the flight. The Chinese side has proposed that they should be a 48-hour quarantine, only 48 hours, after arrival in China. He said, adding everyone must take nucleic acid and antibody tests during their quarantine period after arriving in Shanghai. So here's a good sign. As of mid-March, about 80% of German firms had resumed work in China. It's going better in some areas like the automotive sector, while some sectors related to consumers are not going so well, like the hotel business. But that's not a surprise. So there you go. Singaporeans and Japanese fast track in progress. Okay, good. Yeah, so I knew it was South Koreans. I did hear something about Singapore. I did not hear about Japan, and this is about Germany. So very good. I don't expect America to be on that list anytime soon. Cheer up, cinemas, theaters, and museums to reopen. Right now, I heard that in the city of Zhongshan, the movie theaters are open, but there are no movies playing, so all you can really do is go in and buy popcorn. That's all you can do. But hopefully that will change, and hopefully they'll start I know they're talking about releasing some older movies like they tried in the North a couple months ago. Maybe they'll do that here, but cinemas, theaters, and recreation rooms will be reopened. The KTVs have reopened. The spas have reopened. I've seen many spas open. The ones that survived, many spas closed and they didn't reopen. And same thing with theaters, restaurants, everything, right? So if they're going to reopen, they're starting to reopen now. But yeah, restriction the flow of visitors and reservation is essential. You have to have a reservation everywhere. Even to go to a bar, If I want to go to a bar, I need to reserve a table to go to the bar. This is following the same practice being followed in parks, tourist attractions, sports facilities, indoor venues like libraries, museums, and galleries. If I want to go exercise at the gym, I have to have an appointment. I have to make a reservation. So, on the premise that they fully implement prevention and control measures, Guangdong will allow shopping malls, supermarkets, hotels, and restaurants to fully reopen. Necessary meetings and exhibitions will also restart, according to an announcement released by Guangdong COVID-19 Prevention. This is in Guangdong. The announcement requires medical institutions to fully resume normal services. The system of appointment making and visiting in different waves will be extended. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here in Scotland, start to relax things slowly. So Nicholas says, that's great. I've never been to Scotland, dude. I'd love to go sometime. I've never been to England. I've never been to the United Kingdom, Ireland. A girl who has vlog Kalsa A just went to China from Finland. She's in quarantine now. I did see someone with a vlog who flew from Europe into China, and I don't know how. She didn't mention anything about her visa or why she was going in that vlog. I did see that, and I want to know more. Yeah, that she was allowed to return to town, but again, they did not specify anything about the requirements of returning in the vlog. So we do know that she's in quarantine right now, separated from her boyfriend, right? She was really wanting to stay. No, they're separated. They're in separate rooms. They're in quarantine now, but they didn't mention how they got the visa to come back. You know, what circumstances were in that. That doesn't mean anything. If she has a Chinese husband, if she's there on a marriage visa, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean she can come back. If you're a foreign national, marriage visas do not allow you to come back to China. You essentially all visas March 28th, 29th when they did this were canceled, and you have to reapply for your visa. Marriage visas are included with that. Okay. I don't have a visa. I have a residence permit. It's different. So, first ever Chinese village with Starbucks is now a thing. This was interesting. This is near Xi'an. Walking through meandering walkways in Yangjiakun village, it's really hard to miss the iconic Starbucks logo hanging on the wooden rafter tail of a U-shaped brick house modeled after century-old Qing Dynasty dwellings. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? Because I don't know. I'm okay with it, I guess. To go to these ancient places. I mean, this is just it says it's a building modeled after it, so I think that's fine. But to see these modern, it's like having McDonald's on the top of Zhongjiajie Mountain, Zhongjiajie National Forest. I thought that was very strange to see a McDonald's in such an iconic Chinese place. It was so strange. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think this is okay? All right. I don't know. This is located at the foot of a mountain some 70 kilometers from Xi'an, capital city of Shaanxi province. The village provides tourists with an authentic country landscape, lots of local snacks, and shadow puppetry shows. It is also the first ever village in the hinterland of northwest China to have a Starbucks store. That is not at all surprising for those who live in the cities across the country. Yeah, Starbucks are exploding. They're everywhere. It's amazing how fast the Starbucks are going up here. Our store is very special, said Amy, the store manager. Since it opened at the end of last year, there has always been more customers who prefer coffee to go. Everyone likes to have a drink while strolling around. That's true. I love having a cup of coffee and strolling around these old neighborhoods. So, we talked about the history of China, the history of Starbucks in China. That looks pretty cool. I would go there. Yeah. Okay. We've got a lot of must be paying tons of money for rent. I would maybe it does cost money to maintain these old buildings, that's for sure. The hope those businesses don't destroy those buildings. It's just odd to see it. I know it's sign of the times. Things are modernizing, things are maturing, things are being gentrified. And I do like seeing these modern businesses in these older neighborhoods. They're kind of keeping the older neighborhoods alive and relevant. But I have mixed feelings about it, because I'm so used to seeing a Starbucks in a modern mall and not these ancient villages. You should be going into student accommodation soon, but I'm waiting at least 2 months just in case of the second wave. All right. Oh, that's you, man, because you are going to school soon, Nicholas. That's right. Good luck, by the way, man. You chose a great major, dude. Are you able to get permanent residency after 5 years? They came out with new rules regarding that. I don't know if I qualify for that. I've been here over 4 years, about 4.5 years now. We're talking about it's essentially the Chinese green card. I don't know if they actually passed that law. I know it was proposed, and a lot of the Chinese netizens hated it, and they just went off on these racist tangents. It was really unfortunate, the backlash that came out of that. Currently right now, to get a Chinese green card, permanent residency is nearly impossible unless you have a lot of money, invested a lot of money, or you're a rocket scientist and working with the government. So normally Joe Schmo English teacher wouldn't qualify for that. I'm not sure if I do. I don't know if I make enough money. I don't think my salary's high enough. But we'll see. Matthew asks, it's not a bad thing, but I don't know whether it's a good thing. I'm amazed at how popular Starbucks is in China. Starbucks has been here for a long time, of 20 plus years, and they started slow, and they were very good at building their brand and introducing the brand to the Chinese people. And the Chinese people that go to Starbucks now have grown up with Starbucks. It's a well-established brand here. That's why China has become so popular. It wasn't popular right away. It was a very slow burn into the market here. They've earned their spot in the market here. Much like same with McDonald's. They have earned, and KFC, they have earned their place in the marketplace in China. They're not just coming in saying, look at us, buy us. They don't do that. They've built a following the hard way, the correct way, over the last 20 plus years. Now I am trying to avoid Starbucks since it's killing those independent small coffee shops. I'd rather give small ones a chance. Here's the thing. I agree with you, okay? But here's the thing with Starbucks. The reason why Starbucks is so popular is because they are so good at what they do. It's not just a strong brand, but they offer a consistency everywhere you go. Every Starbucks you go to, you're going to get the exact same thing, even here in China. It's a similar experience, got great customer service, and a very comfortable place to enjoy your coffee. Small coffee shops can be successful, but they have to find a way to differentiate themselves and still offer what the consumer wants. Having good coffee is not good enough for a coffee shop, because the coffee shop experience is more than the taste of the coffee. Starbucks coffee is only so-so. It's not that great, actually. But the reason why I go to Pacific Coffee is not because the coffee is better, but because the environment is more to my taste. So if you're a small coffee shop, you can be successful, but you have to provide an environment that the consumer wants, and the consumer wants to sit and enjoy and maybe get a second cup of coffee and come back a couple of days later with their friends and have a conversation with each other. That's what Starbucks provides. It's a reliable source. Yeah. Luckin Coffee doesn't have that model. Luckin Coffee is not a place to go and sit and enjoy a cup of coffee. It's to go only. That's why I don't go to Luckin Coffee. let's see. America makes lots of money in China and from China, but 90% don't know that. You're right, Shar. It's America and China. Yeah, there's a lot of rhetoric going back and forth, but it's such a symbiotic relationship, and we are more prosperous if we work together, and that's what we should be doing. We should find ways to work more together instead of pointing fingers and stuff like this. We are two very, very different cultures, and there's going to be a clash. But that marriage that we have, we need to find ways to work this out, because it would be more beneficial for everyone if we did. There's a huge Starbucks reserve in Shanghai. I think it's true. The Mama Huhu did a great video about that Starbucks in Shanghai. You should go check that one out. I did not go when I was in Shanghai. I wanted to go. I was near there, but I was kind of walking in the other direction. So when I go to Starbucks in China, I never see any Chinese people ordering coffee. Usually they're ordering the strange, fruity fad drinks. Interesting. When I go to Starbucks here, I always see Chinese people ordering coffee. So, LGR, what city are you in? It might be a regional thing. My friend owns a coffee shop in Shenzhen and Zhongshan. It's about the environment. Yeah. Shar, what's your friend's coffee shop in Zhongshan? I live in Zhongshan. I would love to go check it out. I actually asked a lot of my friends on WeChat. I said, hey, let's start listing the best coffee shops in Zhongshan, and I'll go check them out, because I have my favorite one, but I'd like to expand my horizons and see if there's another place that I can go hang out and do work on my computer. So I got a laundry list of them that many people have suggested to me, and I hope to do a video just like I did the hamburger video. I'd like to do a coffee shop video on it too. Coffee is taking off in China, especially with youngsters. Who knows how that will influence culture, as Chinese culture has been heavily influenced by tea. Yes, by the way, Matt, tea is still number one here. Tea is by far still the biggest thing here, but coffee is exploding. Danny, I agree with you. Working together are always better than fighting with each other. Yeah. It's my belief, Danny, that the reason why everyone's fighting is because they don't understand. I mean, if you look at China YouTubers, many China YouTubers are quote-unquote pro-China, and other ones are quote-unquote anti-China. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to learn about China. I want to understand China, and I want China to understand America. I'm still an American, tried and true, to the fullest. I'm an old troop. I'm a very big patriot. I love my country, and I try to help Chinese people understand our thinking and our way, which is much different. It might not be better. It might not be worse. It's just different on both sides. So while I am teaching English and I'm de facto teaching my culture, I'm also trying to understand their culture. And then I can see the disconnects and why people say certain things about the two countries. It's so hard to articulate. It really is. And that's what the China YouTuber community is really trying to do. It's not just about life in China. It's trying to understand the differences. You know, I remember I did that podcast with my buddies out in Dongguan. Of course, China, check it out. And he asked me, he's like, do you like dating Chinese girls? I said, well, I'm in China. My girlfriend is Chinese, so sure. And he said, do you find it difficult, the culture difference? And I said, well, look, there's differences in the culture. There's no doubt. But those cultural differences, I think, are a strength. They're not a weakness in a relationship. It depends on how you look at it, your attitude towards it. I learned so much through her and through the girls that I've dated here about Chinese people as a whole and the culture as a whole here in this country. The more I can learn, the better it is. I really celebrate the differences in the cultures. So, Pete's Coffee Shar is going to bring me some Pete's coffee. Thank you so much. I will enjoy that. I do miss Pete's coffee. Let's see. Shaoxing area. Where's Shaoxing? Shaoxing. LGR, where's Shaoxing? I don't know. I've heard of it. It's not registering in my head. Whenever I visit the city for the first time in China, I always get a Starbucks mug for that city. Cool. Yeah, they sell the little mugs, right? I know what you're talking about. Next time when I travel, Nicholas, if you are anti-China, what the heck are you doing in China? If you notice, most of the anti-China YouTubers are not in China. And they'll say, oh, I'm not allowed in China. Well, you're not really welcome here. And by the way, here's another thing I've noticed is, look, China changes so rapidly. We all know that, right? So if you were here in China 2-3 years ago, you really don't know what China's like now. I mean, hell, when I left last summer, I was gone for 2.5 months. And when I came back to Zhongshan, so many things were different. It changes that fast. You have to live it and experience it. So, yeah. If politicians want some boogeyman as targets. Yeah, that's the, what do you call it? There's a I remember from my political science class, there's a political term for that when you have a boogeyman that you always need to point at. This is the scary person, and that justifies your actions. Can't remember the term now. But yeah, that's a typical, and you can see it. If you know what it is, you can see politicians doing it left and right. So it's noise. Speak Chinese in China and everyone will treat you right. Speak English in America and American will treat you right 95% of the time. Always smile, Shar. Always smile. I have been using Momo. Everybody I have spoken to think I'm too Chinese. What's Momo, Nicholas? I don't know what that is. Is that an app? Shaoxing, Zhejiang province. You should visit. Yes, I do want to go to Zhejiang. I've been through there on the train, but I do want to go back. There's so much to see in and around Shanghai. I mean, I can spend years in the mountains around Shanghai and not see everything. Between Hangzhou and Ningbo, 2 cities I have not been to yet. So that whole area, I mean, I went on the train from Shanghai down to Xiaolan, but I didn't visit anywhere in between. I was a straight shot. So there's a lot of cities. Ningbo was a place that I was going to go originally before I picked Zhongshan. Okay. What else is on the docket? Chinese cities banning outdoor barbecue to improve air quality. This is in Shenzhen. I'm kind of not liking this one. I like the barbecues at night, especially even if I'm not going to eat the barbecue because a lot of them are a little dodgy. But I don't mind walking down the street and some guy's got a little barbecue shop out and people are enjoying the barbecue. I like the smell. I like the atmosphere that creates, and it's often in the middle of the night, 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I kind of dig it. So I'm kind of upset about this. So I'm not sure if it's really an air pollution problem. It's just cooking barbecue. Momo's a free social search and instant messaging mobile app. I'll have to check it out. I got my hands full with WeChat. I don't know if I can handle another messaging app. The spokesperson made that point, U.S. making money in China in the press conference. She mentioned the example of high-end designer label suits, and the profit margins she alluded to were almost obscene. Yeah, I mean, that's why people do business in China, for money. People ask, why are all the drugs being made in China? It's because those for-profit pharmaceutical companies want to increase shareholder value and dividends, so they produce in a cheaper market. And now China has the infrastructure to make, and that it's not just the factories and and the transportation infrastructure to make the pharmaceuticals. They also have the intellectual capital needed to produce these. They've developed it over the year because people have come to China saying, hey, make this. And so they put tons of people through pharmaceutical school, and now they make tons of pharmaceuticals. And they think, oh, China's stolen the pharmaceutical market. No, they haven't. Your for-profit pharmaceutical companies wanted to increase shareholder value, as they do. That's capitalism. So they produce in a cheaper market. That's what it is. You have car. Don't use HSR. No, I still use the train. I haven't used the trains since the virus outbreak. But no, I love the trains. And when I travel to other cities, when I'm allowed to travel to other cities, I will use the train. The trains are awesome here. I guess the reason why changes happen in fast-paced China is because they're trying to catch up with developed nation. They want to become a developed nation. You're right, Danny. That's true. There's a great book, Fareed Zakaria. You see him on CNN. He wrote a book called The Rise of the Rest. I think it's the rise of the rest. Now, a lot of people are worried. You got Europe and America are these developed countries, and they're growing at about 1 or 2%. And they're worried that, okay, China and India are going to come up and overtake them, and then America and Europe will fall. They're not going to fall. America and Europe are still going to continue to rise, but you're going to see the rise of the rest. This is the development of human society, and that's what it is. There's a great case study about, especially India and China, and also the African nations rising up. Wonderful, wonderful book. Highly recommend it. Guangzhou or Shenzhen, which you prefer? I prefer Guangzhou. I stayed in Shenzhen for 1 month when I did my CELTA training, and I had a great experience. It's very expensive, but it's a modern city in that it's developed for the car and the subway, and I didn't find it very walkable. Guangzhou is much more walkable. It's an older city. It's still got great infrastructure as far as the subway and bus routes and cars. They got these elevated highways that go all over Guangzhou, but I can still walk from I can walk from one end of the city to the other and have a wonderful experience. In Shenzhen, it's just these large avenues with big, beautiful, amazing buildings, but it's just not walkable. And I don't like taking subways because they're underground and I feel like a rat. So that's the only reason why I prefer Guangzhou to Shenzhen. I do love Shenzhen too. Shenzhen's an amazing city. One of my relatives lives in a high building. The first floor has some restaurants with barbecue stores, and they have to close the side windows all the time because of the smell. I've heard that too. Maybe, yeah. I had that problem in my apartment in Shichi. My neighbors below me would do the praying with incense, right? Which is fine, but then the smell would come up and come into my apartment, even with the windows closed and everything, and I couldn't breathe. My eyes would hurt and everything. Communal living. Shar says, Guangzhou has culture. Shenzhen is for the money. And I live in Shenzhen, but I prefer Zhongshan. I prefer Zhongshan too. I think Zhongshan is the right size. Guangzhou, I like going to Guangzhou, but the size and the amount of people there gets to me after a little while. I don't think I could actually live there. It's a wonderful place to visit for a weekend. Same thing with Shenzhen. Shenzhen's a wonderful place to visit for the weekend. But as far as an everyday, livable city, I prefer Zhongshan. That's my taste. I'm an older guy, so that's my taste. Okay. I got some interesting ones here. Hilton does not receive the guests from Africa. This was just a text message. This is still going on, guys. It's still going on in some places. This is in Hilton Shanwei. I'm Hugo. Would like to know requirements for foreigners stay in the hotel. According to the government notification, this is not true, by the way. Any business owner says, oh, the government won't let me do it, he's lying to you. It's not the government telling you to do it. It's that business owner doing it. So Must provide a nucleic acid test. That is not true as well. You do not have to provide the acid test report. You only have to provide the health code, which is on your phone. And there's two of them. There's the Alipay one, the WeChat Pay, or WeChat one. So, Jamaica Funk, you moved onto the campus, the university in Zhejiang. Are you allowed off the campus if you've moved on to? I heard in some cities when you move on, right now they're not letting you off again. I know Guelo said something about that happening in Nanning. Curious about you, dude. What's your experience of living on the campus in Zhejiang? China prefers to stay as developing country. It is still a developing country. You look at the big cities, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Beijing, Shanghai, and you look around and you say, wow, it's really developed. But China is much more than the big cities. I mean, even the areas, even this area that I'm around right now, the neighborhood I'm in right now is brand new. But outside this neighborhood are very, very poor villages. Uh, it's there are pockets of it everywhere. It's still developing, and I mean, driving here. If I took the toll road, which I didn't, if I took the toll road here, it would take me about 30 minutes to get here. But I took the surface streets, I took the city streets, and it took 2.5 hours because they're still developing the roads to get here. So China is still developing. I really believe that. Would you like to have retirement in China? Probably not. Maybe. I mean, I have no plans to leave China right now. I love living here. I love my life here. It's great. But I hope to one day go back to my home country, to America, live in the mountains, die a peaceful man in the mountains. For retirement, if you have money, America is better, roomy, and relaxed. Yeah, there's a lot more space, and it's more expensive. I mean, to die in America is very expensive proposition. Yeah, so we have to take it. So if you have money, America might be a better place. But retirement in China is not too bad. I mean, it's pretty relaxing here too. You can always find relaxing places, even in the big cities. You go to a park and hang out, see all the old people in the park hanging out. Looks relaxing to me. I don't know. I'm not retiring for a long, long time. I don't have to make that decision right now. Poisonous snakes found in Guangzhou. 10 already hospitalized. This worried me. I like snakes. I think snakes are cool, but I don't mess with them, I think a lot of people who get bit by snakes are ones that go up and go, hey, Mr. Snake, and they try to mess with them, and then, of course, they get bit. But I do a lot of hiking, and I do a lot of trail running on a lot of trails, and so all it takes is put one foot in the wrong place, and I'm screwed. The Guangdong summer has officially arrived. With it comes not only humidity, hot sun, and high temperatures, but still lingering threat of COVID-19. I'm feeling that humidity today. If that wasn't enough to get your panties into a knot, dangerous vipers are lurking in trees, low-lying brush, and along the roadsides waiting to strike. If you like the outdoors, pay special attention to the warnings from victims that have had recent close encounters with local venomous reptilians. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic period in Guangzhou, a lot of wild areas were closed. Without human trespasses, the wild inhabitants were allowed to venture back to domains that were once inaccessible. The wild animals grew accustomed to their new dwellings and stayed on even after the parks and recreation areas reopened. Look at that. Oh, God. Looks terrible. The two types of local Guangzhou snakes have been particularly active and should be avoided for your own safety. Cobras and bamboo pit vipers are the culprits to major snake bite injuries reported by hospitals in recent weeks. Their bites can cause immediate tissue necrosis, is that how you say that? And irreversible damage. Below is a recount of events that involve bites from venomous pit vipers. This security guy, no problem. They're just. In the past month or so, the weather has become hot, and the department has received more than 10 patients quit Yeah, they just get you right on the foot. Look at that. And I wear flip-flops when I go out, too. Although there are many poisonous snakes in the Lianhua Mountain Park, they haven't had the chance to hurt many people since the park's reopening. Okay, that's Shenzhen. Look at his leg. So, yeah, I've seen this in zoos. Thank God I've never seen one in real life. And I think I think that's the pit viper, right? And then, of course, the cobra. Poisonous snakes are more aggressive from May to October. Has anyone ever eaten snake? Snake is good. Tastes like chicken. Yeah. Says, if left untreated, the venom could lead to respiratory paralysis, heart failure, and inevitable death. The amount of neurotoxin that a king cobra can emit in one bite is enough to kill 20 people or one elephant. My God. Hope that scares some of you guys. All right, a couple more and then I'll get off. Long live stream tonight. See a couple of these. Die peacefully in the mountains. Yeah, I do. China makes me feel like I have to rush all the time. Depends on where you live. If you live in the big city, Shenzhen, Guangzhou definitely makes you feel that. But if you live in a second, third tier city, I really don't feel that rush, that feel of rush. I feel a lot more relaxed in the smaller cities. A sign of a developed country is the extent to which it supports the individual through society, culture, and the law. That's one way of doing it. Fancy buildings are not the sign of a developed country. That is true. I still think, Matthew, that this country is still developing even by your standard. Individuals through society, culture, and the law. We all know about that, right? So in that case, we are still a developing country here in China. Matthew Croft, if that was the case in many aspects, I think America is a developing country. In many places in America, you can consider it a developing country. I used to live in South Dakota, and I lived in the Black Hills. And next to the Black Hills is Pine Ridge, which is the Agola Lakota Sioux Indian Reservation there. And it's literally the poorest zip code in the nation. And I have many friends who live on that reservation. I got to tell you, parts of that reservation, it looks like a third world country. If you go to the Navajo Reservation on the border with New Mexico and Arizona, and you go to like Monument Valley or something like that, when you drive through those areas, it looks like a third world country. So there are many parts of America that are still like this. Yeah, we have snakes in Southern California, too. We have the diamondback, the rattlesnakes in Southern California you got to watch out for. But again, if you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you usually. This is an article that I was talking about last live stream, but it got cut off. Let me ask you, most of my viewers are men, so even if you're a lady out there, let me ask you, woman denied entry on Hangzhou subway for inappropriate dress. Do you think she is inappropriately dressed? She's a beautiful young lady. I don't think there's anything inappropriate about this. It's summertime. You see guys walking around with a Beijing bikini, and hell, I wear swim trunks, sport shorts, and flip-flops. Nobody wants to see my feet, and they don't kick me off the subway. So let me ask you, do you think? And there's another one here. There's woman wearing spaghetti straps refused entry on the Chinese metro. I think this might be the same one. Yeah, the same one. So apparently it's because of the spaghetti straps. All right. Speaking of this, the trikini, a bikini with matching face mask, proves a hit in Italy. We all saw this coming. We all knew that face masks, I'm not just talking about the light blue covered ones, and there got to be some kind of fashion statement going on. And now you're seeing matching bikinis. It's terrible you can't see these models' faces, but in Italy, I have not seen these kind of decorative, fashionable face masks in China yet, and I don't know why. I'm surprised nobody has started wearing these. At most, we'll see, um, black face masks. Ha. All right. Last but not least, Shanghai Disney reopens after 3 months. Of course, there's so much pent up demand that they sold out all their available tickets, and I think they're still selling out. But I have family who works for Disneyland in California, and they've been furloughed, and so it's a good sign to see at least. Okay, it seems like China again is going to be the guinea pig with this. We're going to see how this works out, if they can maintain safety and cleanliness. And I think if any company can do that, Disney can do it. Disney has the resources, they have the training, they have the staff to maintain a clean environment. I mean, that's one of the great things about Disneyland. If you go there, it's the cleanest theme park you'll ever go to. I mean, those guys that walk around sweeping, they make like $20 an hour. So I think that this is a good thing, and I think a lot of companies can learn from Disney. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully we'll see the rest of the Disneylands open soon. I'm a big fan of Disneyland. I grew up going to Disneyland in California, and I love going to the Disneylands. If you saw my walkabout of Japan, I had plans to go to Tokyo Disney, and I was very upset that I didn't get a chance to go. So I hope to maybe go back to Japan to go to Tokyo Disney. Okay, so with that being said, let's see. I'm going to pick up some of these. More like deteriorating infrastructure-wise anyways. Yeah, I'd love to see some more work put into our roads and railways in America. I think a lot of YouTubers in China are putting out poor content and are just there trying to get maximum profit from donations on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, WeChat. Maybe. What do you mean by poor content? It's tough to make content these days for any YouTuber. I mean, by the way, if you want to support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee, go right ahead, please. Times are tough for me right now, so that'd be great. All YouTubers are trying to get money from their viewers, but I have seen a lot of content from China YouTubers seem to be the same. I support the China YouTuber community, you know that. But I see a lot of regurgitation of the same stuff, and I'm guilty of it too. I've done it too. So lately we've all jumped on this live stream bandwagon a little bit because it's easy to do. It's a wonderful way to connect with the viewers. But I want to tell you one thing though. If you're a China YouTuber, you are not doing it for the money. There is no money in China YouTubing. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, they're making money." Those guys in California make a lot of money, but if you're in China, I mean, just look at our subscriber base, and not only that, but our what do you call it, CPM or whatever is some of the lowest. We're not talking about health, fitness, finances. We're just vloggers in China. So the amount of money that we make doing these videos is not a lot, and it will never be a lot. I'll never be able to make a living doing this. So we don't do it for the money. A lot of us do it just to document our lives and what we do on a daily basis so that when we're older, we can look back on it. I do it to show my family and my friends back home what I'm doing, and also try to give them a different perspective from what they're seeing on their own televisions and their own news feeds about China. That there's nuance to everything. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray involved, and I try to point out the gray. I might not be the best at articulating it or explaining it, but at least I can try, and I can attempt to do it. And I enjoy that role. I enjoy being that niche. What do you mean? Okay, so you guys saying that the other China YouTubers are not putting out good content? They're all kind of the same. Can you give us some feedback? I'm sure other YouTubers out there would love to hear it too. What do you mean by it's a lot of the same content? Can you give us some more? Give us some more. I want to know. Navajo country. Yes, I've been there and I was stunned with what I saw. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. I was there in the wintertime too. Ooh, that's rough. No, I can't leave. Oh, Jamaica Funk. Go check his videos out. He's a new YouTuber. No, I can't leave the campus. I'm under quarantine for a week. Okay, so for 1 week, but after that I can go off campus. Interesting. Okay. And you're going to be there for the summer. With are you going to have students this summer? Let me know. Funny thing was, locals thought I was a Navajo. By the way, those Navajo make great lamb. Just love it. I never ate the lamb there. I went camping there once. I didn't eat. I enjoyed it. It's beautiful countryside. Probably because I wear cowboy boots. I wear cowboy boots. I recall getting the same as too many. It boring me too much, Hopefully I don't bore you guys. Well, I'm trying to do more walkabout videos, and I try to mix up the content. If you watch these videos out there that try to teach YouTubers how to make YouTube videos and how to grow, they always say niche down, niche down. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I think that's boring. I mean, do you want to tune into to a YouTuber and see the same thing again and again and again? No, it's my channel. I'm going to make the videos that I want to make. I'm going to give you hiking and culture. I'm going to give you food. I'm going to give you my life. I'm going to give you my personal life. I'm going to give you hotels, because these are the things that I love. These are the things that I enjoy doing. This is my channel, and I appreciate you guys all being along for the ride. It's wonderful. The China blogger rivalry, that's currently happening. There are too many disgruntled Westerners in China. All the disgruntled Westerners are not in China anymore. If you notice that. Those of us that are still in China, we're not disgruntled. I don't know any disgruntled YouTubers in China. There might be one or two I'm not aware of, but the ones that I'm thinking of who are still living here, we're not disgruntled. And the guys that left, they always say, we can't say anything bad about China because we live here, and that would go against our interests. And there is some truth to that. I can't lie. I don't have freedom of speech. Well, that's not true. I can say whatever I want, but there are consequences if I say certain things, especially things that I'm not unaware of what's going on in the world. I'm very aware of what goes on in this country. I know everything, but it's not my place. If you're in America and you want to talk about it, go right ahead. I will support your right to say whatever you want in America. But I'm here in China. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about on my channel, and I don't want to just walk around complaining about everything. I think that's a waste of time. That's not my personality to begin with. So I don't have the same kind of negativity, the same negative feelings and thoughts that many of those YouTubers have. I just don't. That doesn't mean I'm restricting my speech. It means I just don't share their views, their opinions. So that's my promise to you guys. I'll always give it to you straight. And if I can't say something, I'll tell you, hey, I can't talk about that. I think everyone can understand that. It's actually in my contract, my employment contract and my visa contract and my residence permit contract. There are certain things I'm not supposed to talk about. And that's fine. I'm a guest here. I won't talk about it. Makes sense to me. Not just so. The management structure, social orders, many Americans so care about their own rights that almost borders to lawless since they don't care about other people's rights. I won't get into that. I've given my opinion about that. It would be nice to get more content that actually shows the China that most will never see. Great. See, that's good suggestion. I appreciate that, LGR. I will try to do that. That's why I bought my car, by the way. so that I can see places in China that most other, because everyone, I mean, my last video was Beijing Lu. Everyone has a video about Beijing Road. So there's nothing special about that one. But here in Dayashan, I guarantee you there are very few foreigners that will ever come to this place or even make a video and put it on YouTube about it. So this is one of the reasons why I bought, because it's a 3-hour bus ride from anywhere in Guangdong to get to this place. So it's not an easy, you really have to seek it out. There's no infrastructure here. Try to speak your mind in America and some freak will shoot you. Maybe. Again, that's freedom. You have the right to say whatever you want. I can say whatever I want here, but there are consequences to certain things that you say. Yeah. That really bothers me. After all, once I step out of my property, my rights must always comply with public orders. Always consider other people's rights. Yeah, no need to complain. I've already talked about. I can't go on my soapbox about that again, guys. I'll go off on a tangent. Yeah, no one need to complain. Just go out and let us join some adventurous treks in new and different cultures. I will try. You too, by the way. You do that as well. I think it will die down in the coming weeks as people start to go back to work. I hope so. Nicholas. I hope so, man. I'm really hoping that things will be okay. I have my reservations about it. I think people are doing it for the right reasons, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm Chayo. There is a responsibility to what you say anywhere you go. I agree, Shar, 100%. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't say it or you can't say it. I will defend anyone's right to say whatever they want and give any opinion. Whether I agree with it or not, I will always defend it and respect their right to say whatever they want. But they have to be aware that there are consequences to what you say. I can't go into my boss and tell him he's a jerk. I could if I want. I have the right to say that, but there are consequences to that, right? I can't tell my girlfriend I think she's fat. I can if I want, but there are consequences to that. Nicholas says, I think they're just trying to cash in. Same here. Okay. Yeah. It's getting kind of late. Mike joined me. Mike, you joined me right as I'm leaving, dude. I've been live streaming now for far too long. Almost 2 hours. And it's almost 1 a.m. here in China. And I got to get up early and start my day. Tomorrow's Sunday, but I got a lot going on. So thank you all for joining me. I will show you this beautiful mountain and this beautiful hotel that I'm staying at. I'll show it to you guys in the next week or so after I get all the editing done. I still have a ton of lesson planning to do. So I'm going to be focusing on that over the next couple of weeks. Remember, just 3 lesson plans in 4 weeks. So there's a lot of hours going to be dedicated to that. But I am not doing anything else. So this YouTube channel and my blog will hopefully still get a lot of attention. We'll see. But yeah, support me on Patreon if you enjoy what I do. I do appreciate it. The guys that are on there now that support me, I thank you very much. I listen to everything you say. I want to have an open conversation with you guys, and I love that you support creators. If you want to just buy me a coffee, by all means, please buy me a coffee. If you send me money on that platform, I promise you I will use it to buy a coffee while I edit my videos, because that's what I do. I don't do this at home. I usually go to my coffee shop for 3 or 4 hours and edit my videos. So thanks for that. If you want to support me through affiliate program links, they're all down below. If you want a VPN, my affiliate link for VPN is down below as well. Coming up shortly will be my Trip.com affiliate link, as I partner with Trip.com to help support my travels for future vlogs like these. So things are coming together. A lot of work. A lot of work, guys. Until then, thank you, everyone. And I hope you all are staying safe and have a wonderful weekend, okay? Bye-bye.